Hey, World Entertainment, and it's here, the last episode of The Penguin, episode 8. And did it stick the landing, or did it fall away and end up being a disaster after 7 great episodes? Well, I can confirm it absolutely stuck the landing. Holy crap, did this go out with a bang and some craziness, and sets up a lot of things for the Batman Part 2. Now, there's one part that I will jump into right away because I couldn't understand the name that was being said. I kept rewinding it to try and catch what he says, and I couldn't. But Sophia is handed a letter. Now, I won't jump to that whole scene just yet. I'll just say this part. She is handed a letter, but the name that was said to send that letter, I could not catch. No matter how much I rewound it and stuff, I could not hear what the name was. So we'll get to that because that's pretty much near the ending. But of course, the end of last week's episode was the bomb going off and Oz getting captured and being taken to Sophia. But the episode doesn't open right there. It opens with us getting more information towards the whole flashback sequence of young Oz and his mother going to Maroni's nightclub, where Oz is like, I'll do anything for you, ma, you know that, don't you? And all this stuff. When she says, put your suit on, we're going out. We get more context to that scene, but it's done in the other way. Now, we know this is her being basically hypnotized to recount this, because it starts with, we can see her lying there and we see that red light that doctor uses, and we also hear him saying, like, you're there with Oz and whatnot, so just focus on this and yada yada yada. But we see her interact with that guy Rex, that was the guy's name, who is the one that Oz spoke so highly of, you know, the one that he was the gangster, but when he died they had a parade in his name stuff. We see her talking. Now, she sees a reflection of herself and it's the younger self, but we're seeing Frances as she is now, and she has the conversation with Rex that she knows that Oz locked his brothers in the sewer area where they drowned. She found a torch in his pocket and was like, yeah, he lied to me, and basically said she's living with the devil. So Rex says to her, right, well, there's a couple of options to deal with someone like that. One is they find themselves becoming very useful in my line of work and stuff like that, which is basically what Oz ended up becoming. He says there was something else, I can't remember what the other thing was, or he says you can make them go away. And he's hinting, you know, take them out, delete them. And she basically wants to go with that option. She wants Rex to take Oz out. So that is why we get that moment of her taking him to the club for dinner, is that she's there and she's basically going to Oz, oh yeah, by the way, Rex is going to take you home later, i.e. she knows and has planned he's going to take Oz and kill him. But young Oz starts talking, like saying to her, like, I'll get you anything you want and all this stuff, I know you better than anything, and basically tells her, like, I notice how if you're stressed you smoke more, you drink more, you blah blah blah, and he goes on and basically promises her the whole world, and that he will get her the best apartment in Gotham, you know, penthouse that overlooks the whole city, all of that stuff. This leads us directly then into where the episode picks up, and it picks up with Vic in a car, and he obviously went and got the army. What he did was he went and got all the main gangsters that Oz got on his side when he gave them that big speech about the higher ups don't even know your names. But once they see the fire and the hole in the ground stuff, they're like, yes, screw this. And Vic calls them out on it. It was like, you know, you're just disloyal and all this stuff. And they're like, yeah, we're only interested in the drugs, we don't care about the Penguin. So the Irish fella pulls out the gun and he's like threatening Vic, and Vic just calls them out even more. And the triad fella, the one from the nightclub, the second in command, walks over and punches Vic in the stomach. Is like telling him, like, you gotta know your place or you'll just earn a bullet. So they all abandon him and leave because they're like, Oz is definitely dead. Look at the smoke down there. So Vic goes running down and sees what's going on and finds one of the guys that worked with them. I was like, where's Oz? And the guy doesn't know whether Oz got out or not. We then get Oz waking up. He's gagged and he's duct taped to a chair, while his mother is duct taped and her mouth is duct taped on another chair across. And Sophia starts turning the screws in and basically is trying to make the two of them fight each other, basically by telling Oz, your mother knows what you did. Why don't you just tell her what you did to your brothers? And he's like, what are you talking about, kind of? And she's like, you know, you gotta let the truth out. Like, just tell her what you did and all this stuff. And the mother, then she's saying to the mother, like, he will let you suffer and all this kind of stuff. And he go to cut off the mother's finger and with his cigar cutter. And he won't give up the truth and stuff. And the mother loses it with him. And she basically flat out tells him, like, I've always known what you did. You're the devil. I've never loved you since then. I've hated you. I should have let Rex take you and top you and all this stuff. And he's just like, he's not accepting this, you know. She's like, even tells him, like, you're a spineless idiot. Like, you were gonna let me lose my finger and all this type of stuff. And it goes on a bit and she stabs him. She smashes a bottle and she stabs him. And Sophia's just sitting there watching all of this happen. And as she stabs him and she sees the two other sons and they're soaking wet and water stripped nothing. Like, she's obviously seeing them in her head. And as she goes to walk, she ends up collapsing. You hear her speech getting slurred and stuff. And you think, she about to have a stroke? And she does. She drops. And you think, is she dead or isn't she? Her dropping just enrages Oz, and he manages to break loose, grabs one of the guys, gets the guns, shoots them, grabs his mother, runs out, and just about gets away. He takes her to the hospital. He phones Vic. He steals a phone. He phones Vic. Vic comes, sees him stitching himself up, and he's like, we gotta make a move now, you know, Sophia's on the loose, all this type of stuff. So what his plan is he goes to that senator, and he basically tells the senator, he twists everything that has happened in this show with this senator telling him that it was all Sophia and the Maronis. That all of this. He says Sophia blew up the tunnel. The reason she did it is because the biggest drug operation in Gotham was down there. And the senator dude is like, what am I going to find down there? And he goes, oh, you're going to find a load of Falcones and Maronis, including Salvador Maroni himself. You're going to find all that down there. And he's like, you can be, basically he's saying, you can be the savior of Gotham. I can give you Sophia and all this, and like, we can pin everything on her and all this stuff, and you will move up in rank and all this type of stuff. And he's like to Oz, you know, what do you want out of it? And he wants connections, he wants power. So Sophia then has a meeting with all of those gang leaders, all of them, at her house, and basically says, okay, here's the deal, whoever wants it can have it, and have it all. And they're like, have what? And she goes, all my home, my businesses, my territory, everything, because I'm getting the hell out of Gotham. So they're like, this doesn't seem right, but what's in it for you? And she's like, all I want is Oz Cobb brought to me. That's it. Whoever does that first gets it all. And then the triad, the second in command fella, the guy from the nightclub, says, why the hell would you leave Gotham now? You know, with everything you've got and stuff. Why would you just give it up and leave? And she goes, because I can. So they all go out on the hunt for Oz. That actually happens before Oz goes to the Senate. So while he's going into the Senate, Vic gets a phone call, and it's that triad fella going, Sophia's just put a bounty out on Oz, so I think you better tell me where you are. Oz comes out after his meeting, and there's the triads, and like, come with us. So there's no sign of Vic, so he goes with them. They phone Sophia and say, yeah, we got him. do you want us to bring him to the house? And while she's in the house, she's packing. Or at least you think she is. She's throwing all the clothes on her bed and all this stuff, or her father's bed. And she's staring at one of his watches. And she gets the call and she goes, oh no, I'm just packing, getting ready to leave. But congratulations, that's all yours. But bring him to such and such place, to hangar number 5. And I'll meet you there. Hangs up, she's pouring drink out everywhere, and she burns the house down. So she never intended to give anyone anything. So she's burning the house down. She goes to the hangar. There's the triads with Oz, and she's standing there with her man. She's like, there he is again, like, caught again, yada yada. And she notices Oz has a bit of a grin on his face, and she's kind of, what? And the second in command triad fella turns around and pops the main fella in the head. And then Vic and all is there, and all these triads turn on Sophia's and take out all of Sophia's dudes. So now she's on her own. She's no defense. And Oz goes, let's go for a drive. Jumps into the car. They drive down to the front of the water. And I'm thinking, is this where we're going to see the bat signal? Or is something about Batman going to happen here? Because it's nighttime and stuff. So he brings her down. They have a bit of a talk in the car. But he brings her down to the waterfront, and she's like, I've never seen anyone like you, like all this stuff, you're truly sick, you know, killing your brothers, all this type of stuff, and what would your mother say? How is she, by the way? All this type of stuff. And he tells her to turn around, that she's properly sick in the head and that she's going to hell. And she goes, I'll save you a seat. Makes her turn around, puts the gun to her head, and we're thinking, is this the end of Sophia? And a big light all of a sudden hits her. And you hear a helicopter, and she just looks up and turns around, and there's all the cops arriving to arrest her. That was the plan. The plan wasn't to actually kill her, it was to give her up to the authorities so the senator can say, I captured the biggest crime lord in Gotham and we put her away. So that was the plan. Oz then goes to the hospital, sees his mother, sees it all on the news. He's like, him and Vic are there, and they're like, yeah, this is celebration time, Ma, what do you think? And she's not responding, and he's worried, and they get a doctor in, and it's a nurse that comes in, and she explains, yeah, look, she had a massive stroke and she's basically in a vegetated state. So his mother is now a vegetable, basically, which he can't stand. All he wanted in life was to hear her say she's proud of him. And basically the last thing he ever heard her say to him was that she hated him. You know? So he ends up going out with Vic. Now, this is going to be big spoiler territory for this, but it's the final episode, so we're going to have to go into it, because it really shows and sets up what we're going to get with the next movie. Well, before he actually goes out with... No, yeah, it is. He's out with Vic, and he's having a drink with Vic. They're sitting in like a park looking out across the water to the city, and they're having a talk, and Oz is like, I wonder what my brothers would be like now, what they would be doing, what they would think of me and everything I've done and achieved. And Vic says, yeah, I kind of wonder that myself about my family. And he says to Oz, look, thanks for taking a chance with me, thanks for giving me the opportunity and stuff, and I consider you family now. And Oz is like, I know, it's great. And he puts his arm around him, he's talking, and he goes, you know, this line of like, though, it's, I can't take you with me where I'm going next. And Vic's like, what do you mean? And he starts strangling him. And Vic starts pleading for his life, and Oz basically flat out now says he can't have anything holding him back. He can't have any emotional attachments, basically. He's basically now becoming the full Penguin. He's stripping away all the humanity that he had left. And he kills Vic. He strangles Vic to death. And he's saying I'm sorry to him the whole time as well. But he explains when he's strangling, like, I can't, you know, have these ties to me. I can't have this. I can't have that. I can't have weakness. Takes him out, apologizes, robs him. And once he's dead, he robs him, takes his money, takes out his ID, walks down and launches his ID out into the water. Then we get what I was talking about at the very start of this video, which was Sophia in Arkham. She's back in Arkham, and oddly enough, the doctor dude is back working in Arkham and comes in. Now, when he's talking to her, she's like almost in a vegetative state herself. She's just non-responsive, looking out a window, and you can hear it. His voice is muffled because you're getting that disconnected. Someone's talking, but you're not listening. You know, that effect. And he's saying you're getting lots of mail, fan mail, marriage proposals, blah, blah, blah. And then he says, there is this letter, which is very interesting. I think you should read it. He says it's from, and I cannot catch what he says the name is. But he does say, she says she's your half-sister. So, whoever that is, okay. So, she kind of comes around to that, takes the letter off him, he buggers off, she opens it up and she's reading it and she starts smiling. We don't see what's on the letter, we don't hear her read the letter or anything like that. We're just seeing her reaction to the letter. Ven Oz finally did it. He achieved power. He's now living in the penthouse. He's dressed very much in the vein of the Penguin we know, in terms of he's in a little waistcoat, he's got the bow tie. We don't see him with it on, but he does have the top hat. He arrives up and he's got his mother in a room that's overlooking the city. And he's like, I told you I'd do it for you, ma, didn't I? And all this. And we see a tear coming down her eye and he goes, I know. He walks out to, I finally got her name, Eve, the prostitute. And she's dressed as his mother from the flashbacks, when she brought him out for that meal and the dance. He has her dressed like that and has her kind of reaffirm him and tell him she's proud of him and that he achieved it and he's great and he's the king and all this stuff. And she goes, there's nothing now to stop you. It's all, Gotham is yours and there's nothing to stop you. And he goes, you're goddamn right. And we come out of the window and then it happens. The bat signal. Yep. And not just that, I can show you how it ends because you can see it. And it's exactly the way I thought it was going to end. I said if Batman wasn't going to show up, I think the show ends with the bat signal. And sure enough, it ends with the bat signal turning on. So this obviously leads directly into the Batman Part 2. It looks like Sophia may have a part in this movie, which is good news because she's fantastic in the show. Find out about this half-sister of hers, and we definitely know that Oz will in fact have a big part in the next movie, so bring that on. So great show, fantastic. Episode 1 to 8, they stuck the landing. Good God, what a great show it was. And for the last time regarding the Penguin, I'll leave it there for this one. So like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.